Hi everybody. Well, I found Vermont maple no-bake cookie recipe. I had it all along. I knew I had one somewhere, but I couldn't figure out where it was. Before I get going, I've got all the ingredients in a pan and it's just about ready to boil, but I wanted to first say I decided tonight, I saw my outfit yesterday or the day before I was watching the video and I was like, oh my god, look at all the flour on me. So I've worn my beautiful apron from Gunner Pecor, my little guy, my little friend. You love it, everybody? Isn't it cool? So yes, I'm wearing it to keep myself all nice and clean. We're making Vermont maple no-bakes, and inside this pan already there is 1/4 cup butter, 1/2 cup pure maple syrup, and it's dark. And the reason why it's the dark kind is because light syrup doesn't have a heavy lusty flavor like the dark one. The dark has that maple flavor, and you need the maple flavor because the milk cuts down on the maple flavor. So, and 2 tablespoons of milk. It was close to boiling before Tim got here, so I had to pull it off quickly so that it would be at the right timing. Couple things we're ready for while we're waiting for it, because it's going to boil in any second now, is of course over here we've got our wax paper again. Wax paper, it's all set up. I got my 2 spoons just like I do with any of the others, because you got to get it out of the pan pretty fast. This thing is boiling right now, so I'm going to put my 3-minute timer on, and I'm supposed to be stirring the whole time. A couple of things we're going to note that's a little bit different on this recipe is it's only 3 ingredients going in. It's the maple syrup, a little tiny bit of milk, the 2 tablespoons, and that 1/4 cup butter. It's not going to make a ton, I don't think. And the other thing that's remember we were talking last night when we were making the peanut butter ones, we were saying, oh, I don't have any, by the way, you're supposed to be stirring the whole time that it's boiling. It's all the no-bakes that I make, they all use a quick oatmeal, but today we are using old-fashioned on this one. It calls for old-fashioned, and looking at the picture I can see why they're doing the old-fashioned. So it's finally we're getting to use the old-fashioned kind. We even made that comment yesterday. So another thing is that this recipe calls for almond butter. We all know almond butter is just sort of like a peanut butter. I don't have any almond butter on me, but I did do some Googling and checking. You can use any kind of peanut butter if you want in its place. Cashew butter, hazelnut butter, sun butter, but it does call for almond butter because the almond's sweeter. That's why they use the almond butter. It talks about boiling the maple syrup mixture for a full 3 minutes over medium heat is very important. The mixture will be kind of frothy, as you can see, right during the boiling. Don't worry, just keep stirring. It talks about getting the proper consistency of the cookie can be tricky, due in part because of the different consistencies of, like, if you're using peanut butter instead of almond butter or any kind of peanut butter-ish kind of product like that. So adjust the ingredients as you need them. This is our first time doing this together, so it's also saying if your cookie mixture is too thick or not. I've got little things to talk about on there too because it's syrup. And I'm looking to see. Remember when we were doing maple frosting? We went to a hair. I'm wondering. I'm just peeking and seeing if that's what we're trying to do here too. But anyways, if you see how dark the syrup is, it's not that light kind at all. So it's kind of funny because when, oops, we've only got 35 seconds left. We can talk about this afterwards then. So anyways, it all says that if your cookie mixture is too thick after adding in the oats and the tea, start adding a tiny bit of milk at a time, but just 1 teaspoon because the mixture goes from too dry really quickly to too wet when you're adding the milk. And the milk also has a wonderful creaminess to it, but it tends to drown out the maple flavor that you're trying to achieve. And if your cookie mixture is too soupy after stirring in your oats, then you can stir in additional oats 1/4 cup at a time until it feels like it's a dropping situation, like it's comfortably dropping. So we're going to take it off of here. And unlike the other recipes, we don't add anything to it right now. We're going to wait for 2 minutes. So we got a timer on for 2 more minutes until we add anything else to it. So while I'm waiting for that, I wanted to talk to you about today I was we got 2 minutes, Tim, so stop shaking your head no. I made more batter for filled cookies today, so I've got 8 more dozen potential I can make this weekend. And the funny thing about it is I put a thing out there saying, hey, has anybody got any ideas for any more fillings? Because you know that I'm using all of my homemade jams, which are raspberry, strawberry rhubarb, blackberry, triple berry, and raspberry. I also have always, my cousin, Alan Austin loves dates, but he loves them. But anyways, I got some really good responses from people. D. Kinney wanted to know if I could fill them with Nutella so they could have chocolate in them. I'm going to try that this weekend just to see. But the whole part about my cookies to begin with is that they're 100% homemade. So that would kind of do a little weirdness on the 100% homemade thing because I can't make Nutella. But maybe I can make something like Nutella. I can Google it. I love the fact that Mary Hislop Bryce said apricot jam, but I've got to look into how to make apricot jam for sure. Dorothy Page said, hey, fill them with peanut butter and fluff, you know, maybe a half a teaspoon of each peanut butter and fluff. So I'm going to try 1, maybe 2 of those to see. But remember, when I'm asking everybody this, whatever it is, that filling has to be able to stand up in the oven. Pearl Gilbert says she knows that I do mincemeat and raisins, and that's absolutely correct. Apple butter is what Mary Boucher said, which is what I was going to try anyways. My daughter Danielle makes apple butter, and it's to die for. So that I'm definitely trying this weekend. Don Manchester Austin said orange marmalade. So I said I've never made orange marmalade before. So I thank Karen Kazavet for sending me an orange marmalade recipe, which I'm going to try this weekend. And Karen Sylvester just seems to want to eat them. She doesn't seem to have any ideas for any fillings, but she just wants to eat them. So, which I think is hysterical. I love it. So here we go. Now, see what it is? It's just a dark, very dark here. And from here, all I do is add 1/2 teaspoon. So everything's kind of much smaller. It's probably going to make I've got a big sheet of wax paper down there. I don't think I'm going to be needing it. There's your 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And you need a pinch of salt. So there's my pinch of salt. And the peanut butter, I didn't have what they had, so I'm going to use Peter Pan's Honey Roast Crunchy because I love that whole crunchy thing. So that's going in next. It's kind of fun. If I need a large batch, I know I could just double this bad boy right up. But this is the quantities that this recipe had. So with only 3/4 cups of oats, I don't think it's going to make anywhere near. We had 24 or something like that last night, the other kind. The other ones make a very large batch. And get that to meld in there a little bit before I add the oatmeal. And again, this is the only one that said old-fashioned oatmeal, not the quick kind, the old-fashioned kind. So there, it's starting to break down a little bit. It says to use any kind of commercial peanut butter, sun butter, like I was mentioning to you before, hazelnut butter, cashew butter, whatever, in replacement of that. But they like the almond butter because it has a sweetness to it. So that was why I chose the honey roast peanut butter, because that had a sweetness to it. 3/4 cup, if you can see where my thumb is on the 3/4 of oats, and there you go. I've got my milk left over here on the counter in case it's too dry, and I'm leaving the oats open in case it's too soupy. So, and I think we're on the too soupy. I already know we're on the too soupy, a little bit too soupy. So I'm gonna go, it says to go like 1/4 cup at a time. So that's 1/4 cup in my 3/4. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of that. Yeah, that seems to be a little bit better. Okay. As soon as I got this all stirred, I'm going to quickly start putting them on my, I hope I've got enough oatmeal in there. It still feels kind of runny, but not having made them before, I'm not sure if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I don't want to wait too late to put them on the table and then they've got that dry, funky. I think that's good, don't you?
Too soupy.
You think it's too soupy still? I don't know. It was soupy before, for sure. I don't know. I'll do a smidge more then. I don't want them to be dry, that's the thing. See, they're already starting to harden up a little bit here, so I think that other 1/4 is going to be good. So this is going to be a guessing game. I've never done this before. All right. Here Here we go. Can't wait to see what the flavor's like. Oh my god. I tested the flavor of the peanut butter ones we made last night. I had one after they hardened and holy. I hate to say this while we're taping because I hate people to know this, but Tim and I both said, oh my god, I think I like them more than the chocolate ones. Crazy. Just let that ring. And so here we go. Plating them down here. Here we are. That's my sister, Shyla. We'll just get to it. Design. Hang on. I got a couple more things I want to say. That's why I'm letting the phone do its own thing and still talking with you. And then there's my answering machine. And she hung up. Okay. Here we go. So these look pretty cool. It's the same consistency of the peanut butter ones last night. It did thicken up a little bit with that last between 1/4 and 1/2 cup of oatmeal. So we'll see if you're right, honey, if I should have added more or not. We'll know in like, it takes only 5 or 10 minutes for the whole cookies to harden up like this anyway. So okay, and that's it. So yeah, it makes a small batch, 3, 6, 9. So it probably should have made 12. One of them I made a little bit big. So it makes half the amount of the batches that I make before. But yeah. So I can't wait to taste them. I'll give you my heads up on them. But that's the first recipe I have. I will keep searching. That's the one that I had in the archives. I went into my cookbooks today and I tore them apart. And I actually put them in category and ways where I can find recipes faster and easier. So when you guys are looking for something, I'm not tearing the whole kitchen apart. The other thing is, last night Tim and I were saying, well, Tim was the one saying, hey, you know, it would be fun, because we were talking about adding fun stuff to the cookies last night because they look like they might be plain. By the way, they do not have a plain flavor, do they, hun? For looking plain, they were absolutely awesome in flavor. But anyways, we were talking about adding chocolate chips, and I started saying, because it's a very hot mixture, they may melt a little bit. And then I thought to myself, hey, so my tip to you, if you want to add those miniature chocolate chips to the peanut butter ones that we made last night, keep your miniature chocolate chips in the freezer just before you make the cookies. Take them out on the counter, and you're just going to throw them in 5 minutes later, and they're going to be frozen. They have no way that they can melt in that short amount of time. So there's my tip on the peanut butter no bakes. If you want to add those mini chocolate chips, keep them in the freezer. Okay, well, we'll let you know somehow what the flavor of this is. And I'll look for one more just in case this one ends up being a failure, but I hope it doesn't. They look yummy, and we'll see what happens. Thanks. Bye.